Welcome to my Orm, and this is Deck Tech, where I run through one of my commander decks and teach you how to play it. On today's docket, we have my Food Chain First Sliver cEDH commander deck, which means this one's a little bit different than the rest of them, so let's go ahead and dive right on in. We're going to go ahead and move into the combos because this is the most combo heavy deck that I own. Now, there also will not be a notable card section just because every single card in this deck matters like a good cEDH deck should. The combos in this deck can be broken down into different phases. Each phase is an infinite combo that leads to something else happening. So, phase 1. You have to generate infinite mana to get through this entire deck. This can be done by utilizing Food Chain and either Squee the Immortal, Misthollow Griffen, or the Eternal Scourge. How this works is once one of those three creatures is on the battlefield, you can use Food Chain to exile one of those creatures, adding mana to your mana pool equal to their CMC plus 1. Then, once that creature is exiled, you can use that mana to cast that creature from exile, put it back on the battlefield, and then re-exile any one mana every single time you do this. That is an infinite mana loop. Moving on to phase 2, you're going to use that infinite mana that you just generated to cast and then recast the First Sliver. The way that this works is once you cast the First Sliver, you're going to utilize its cascade ability to cast whatever you want through your library, which allows you to cast your entire library. Because once it's on the battlefield, you can then exile the First Sliver using Food Chain. Then you can move that to the command zone. And even though you still have to pay commander tax, you can still pay the commander tax because you have infinite mana. So far, we've covered infinite mana and casting your entire library. Now, this is where the fun begins because you got options. There are 4 primary ways that you win using combos in this deck. The 3 most common is Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, or the Jace that does the same thing as Laboratory Maniac. However, I do also have Lava Belly Sliver, so whenever you cast and recast the First Sliver infinitely, it pings your opponents for 1 damage and you gain 1 life. That has happened on several occasions. Those are the infinite combos, and there's other things that help facilitate those combos, such as Tainted Pact, Demonic Consultation. I talk a lot about these combos in a different video. However, that is the primary strategy for this deck, but we're going to go ahead and move on to some of the contingency plans. Now, the contingency plans can be broken up into 2 parts. Prevention or extraction. Prevention can be seen through an assortment of a lot of different counter spells, and extraction can be seen in cards such as Noxious Revival or Eternal Witness in case something gets put into the graveyard, like Food Chain. Typically, that's not good. Also, in case something gets shuffled into my library, there is an assortment of tutors in here because I do like to joke that this deck is tutor tribal. Now that pretty much covers, in a nutshell, all the utility cards. Now we're going to go ahead and move into piloting the deck. Whenever it comes to piloting the deck, we're just going to go through what you want to see in your opening hand, because we covered all the combos. So, what you want to see in your opening hand is at least a green source of mana, land or otherwise, and I would say about 2 mana dorks, just so that way you have faster mana, so that way you can cast either the Cast from Exile creatures or Food Chain whenever they come up. So that's 3 cards. You also want to have at least a tutor, so that way you can go find either a response to something or one of the aforementioned cards. I like to have a counter spell so that we have responses in case something gets countered, and a way to come back from things if things don't go well, such as like Noxious Revival, Eternal Witness. With the last spot, either I would have another land or a source of card draw, such as Rhystic Study or Necropotence. Your opponents giving you cards can quite possibly be the worst thing in here because it allows you more chances to run into your combo pieces. That's generally what you want to see in your opening hand. You do typically want to aggressively mulligan, just because it's very rare to get all the things all in one shot. If you have one of the Cast from Exile creatures or Food Chain in your hand, bonus points. But you at least want to have a green source of mana because there is so much in here that is green, whether it be ramp or mana dorks. Now, this deck is also extremely good at pulling a win from nothing, and it's very easy for your opponents to underestimate the deck. Use that kind of to your advantage and allow them to get into like this false sense of security because it's very easy to just go, I win. But with that being said, if you like the video, make sure to subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment if you want. But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll learn something new in the next video.